Hey everybody, I'm working on a jacket and I have formed a 1.5 inch hem. See, it's about 1.5 inch hem at the bottom of the work, and I'm going to secure that hem in place with a slip stitch. I actually already started securing it in place with a slip stitch, but then I stopped the project and I said, hey, this would be a great time to show everybody or let them see how I actually work a slip stitch and share some tips and pointers along the way. Now this is a black cotton fabric and I used a Coats and Clark thread to all-purpose Coats and Clark thread to keep it in place the same color as the project. But for our exercise, or for you to see it, I'm going to use this white thread, okay? And it's going to be a reason why I'm doing that. So you can see, okay, so let me just show you the work here. All right, these are the slip stitches that I placed across here, and I threaded my needle with a single thread, just kind of overlapped it. I didn't double the thread. It's just in there enough to keep it in, to keep the work going. And if you look at the other side of my work, you can barely see the stitches, and that's what I want. I don't want the stitches to show. I want you to like barely be able to see them. And because the person that's wearing this jacket is not, it's going to look tacky on them if they have the stitches showing on the other side. So in order to do that, I use a slip stitch, and with the slip stitch, when I am securing this hem to this part of the work to keep it in place, I'm only picking up like one or two strands of this fabric that I'm securing it to in place, okay? So to do that, I'm going to use this white thread just right here. I'm going to take it out, of course, but I'm only using it just in this part of the work that I'm doing here. So I'm going to move my other thread out of place, and when I finish showing you guys, and when I'm ready to continue the finishing up the project, I'm just going to just rethread my needle and finish up from there. Okay. And another thing I want to share about doing the work is doing this kind of work by hand is that a lot of people think that you can do everything on the sewing machine. You know, like I could have taken my hem and just could have stitched the hem across there, and I'm not knocking anyone that does that, but what I want to do at this time is just to share that hand sewing on a garment really increases the value of the garment, actually puts it in a whole nother bracket. And it gives it a really great finish and a professional look. And this is one of the reasons why on my blog, a lot of the times I'll talk a lot about hand sewing. Just to learn a few stitches to apply to your work will do wonders for your work, and it sets it apart from the clothing that's on the rack, you know. So okay, to begin, what I normally do, wherever the stitches that I left off, right? In this case, a stitch I left off there. Hope you guys can see this. I'll go right next to that stitch with my little needle, and I'll go into the fold of that work, and I'll channel my needle up into the fold and come out. And when I come out, here's how I'm going to attach it to the rest of the work. I'm just going to take the very tip of that needle, go into the work, and I'm only going to pick up a strand or two of the work, and I'm going to run the thread through there. Okay, and I'm not going to run the thread all the way through because I'm just showing you guys for the exercise here. Then I'll go right next to the work again, channel up, pick up a strand or two from the other side. You see that? And I'm going to pull up the work. Alright, and it's going to go into place. Let me pull that there. Okay, I'll do it again. And I'll do a few of them so that you'll be able to see the work from the other side. Just picking up a couple strands as I go along. There we go. A couple strands. I'll do two more after this, and then I'll show you guys the rest of the work. It's kind of awkward here. Usually I breeze through this. I love hand sewing. I do it often, and the people, if I'm sewing for someone, they absolutely love that. I took the time to do that to their work. Okay, and one more. Okay, this is right next to that. I'm just going to pick up just a couple of strands. Try not to knock my camera or tripod over here. And there we go. Okay, now this is the work. And because I use the same color thread on this part here, you can't see it at all. Excellent, right? So when I turn it over, look at that. You can't see that white thread. You see that? Here it is. That's it there. And here it is here. You can't see it at all. Barely can see it. I can't see it at all. This fabric, I have to run a lint roller over the fabric when I finish. But you don't see any of the stitches. I'll get even closer. You can barely see that. I see the black stitches before I see these 6 white stitches that's on the other side, and that's what you want. And that's what I just wanted to show you guys, how I do the slip stitch. Okay, hope that you find this useful, and I'll see you next video.